that.
I know. I'm trying not to, but
All right, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Some housekeeping first. We do have a council member, Linda Belil, who is away on vacation. But the big news is that we have our AV equipment set up, so we are recording this. It is being streamed live on our YouTube station. It won't be saved there, but it's going to be streamed live, and hopefully it'll work well this evening, and then for future meetings, you can attend kind of virtually. You won't be able to comment on the YouTube station on the meeting, but you will be able to hear what's happening.
Madam
So
President, it's our understanding that it will be saved only until the time that the minutes for this meeting are approved by the next.
the recording, which has always been the
The re-
case.
The streaming on YouTube will be there until,
the recording of the streaming. I guess,
what are we saying here? Correct me.
yeah. Well, you got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
The audio recording has always been saved only for minute reporting purposes. So with that, we will pledge the flag in a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. So first, we will be conducting a public hearing addressing our comprehensive plan that we have been working on for over a year. We have our consultant here, as well as members of the Planning Commission, our chair, Mike Whitinger, to answer any questions. We're going to make a few comments about the comprehensive plan, and then open the floor to anyone who would like to make public comments. Those who want to make public comments, will ask that you come up and speak into this mic and state your name and address for the record. With that, I'll turn it over to our chairman of the Planning Commission for a little intro.
Thank you, Madam President. Just briefly wanted to touch base with the process. I found an email here, July 27th, 2021. The council voted to hire our consultant. So we were at this for a long time, and I think a little longer than we anticipated. But we had some issues with COVID, some other things that stopped. What I wanted to mention with the process, we have some folks here. I see Dave, I see Phyllis, I see Lauren over here. There's Sam, Jeff is here, there's Phil, Gary's behind me. Yes, and here's Lauren, who were with us through this process, and a lot of other folks too. Our goal was to make it as open to the public as we possibly could. At the very beginning, we thought maybe just the planning commission would do it. We decided no. We wanted to have as many people involved as we could, as much community involvement as we could, and we did. We did surveys, we did meetings. We had a solid group of about 15 people who were involved all the time. A couple people who actually, during the process, moved out of state because the process took so long, but life things happen. So that's really what I wanted to mention, that we did make this as open and public a process as we could. There was no backroom dealings, there was no planning commission either of it. The planning commission did not try. There were lots of discussion. There was some things the planning commission maybe wanted to do that the overall members of the steering committee decided we wanted to do. So that's really all that I wanted to say. It's my pleasure then to introduce Charlie Smeal. Many of you know Charlie, some of you don't. He's with URDC of Pennsylvania. He's been our consultant on this. He's widely known across the Commonwealth. He's done comprehensive planning zoning ordinances for lots of municipalities, including our zoning ordinance a number of years ago. And he's recognized as an expert. It's a pleasure for all of us and a privilege for us to be able to work with him over these So I'm going to introduce him now, and he's going to actually talk about the plan itself. And if anybody does have any questions, feel free to so this will hopefully be able to answer them. Charlie, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Here's a copy of the map I'll pass around the front. I also have some extra copies if anybody in the audience wishes to get a copy. Right here on this chair. It's just a map. So first off, what is a comprehensive plan? Comprehensive plan is an overall guide for the preservation and development of the community over the next 10 to 15 years. It is not a regulation by itself, but it's a set of policies that are intended to guide development issues. So the comprehensive plan, in addition to dealing with land uses and housing over the future, it also looks at natural feature preservation, community facilities and services, transportation issues, and ways to carry out the plan. At the beginning of the process, as Mike said, we had a very good committee in addition to the planning commission working on this. A lot of good input throughout this process. We also did a online citizen survey, and there was also paper copies available that were tabulated. We got a lot of good results from that. One of the goals of this process was to concentrate on the areas of the town that are most likely subject to be changing. There's this 15 years. Most people like it the way it is, especially the residential areas, so our concentration was upon certain areas that are undeveloped or had opportunity for redevelopment. As part of that, we had a lot of discussion about the areas that you see striped on this map. Those are called traditional neighborhood development areas on the plan. And there is going to be a zoning amendment affecting those two areas that's going to be discussed at the council meeting in May, which is on May 23rd at 7 o'clock. So if you wish to attend that meeting, you can. But the discussion of the traditional neighborhood development areas, it's two areas. It's the large area of undeveloped farmland near the intersection of 741 and 999. And it's also an area of land south of Cottage Avenue along the creek, just east of the university. In both of these areas, the emphasis is upon promoting new development that recreates the best features of older development. So having a scale of development that promotes walking with sidewalks and street trees, that promotes front porches, that promotes uninterrupted sidewalks with most of the driveways and most of the garages to the rear of the property when possible. That has a provision for a limited amount of business development, mainly to serve local residents so they can walk to everyday convenience items. And a requirement for 20% of the land to be preserved in open space. So that was the emphasis on these two, the largest undeveloped areas in the borough. And as part of that, a developer is typically required to make significant road improvements. We're very aware of the congestion near 999, 741, and PennDOT would be very much addressing that issue in combination with the borough as part of any development in that area. One of the plans that's been on the books for a while as part of the land south of Cottage is a proposal for a new road and a new trail that would provide an alternative route into the eastern side of the university. And the idea is that would be strongly encouraged to be built by the developer of that site to provide another way in from Wabank into the university for both pedestrians and bicyclists and motorists. Another emphasis of the plan was trying to create a little more of a downtown. This was a topic that was very, people looked at very favorably in the citizen survey and at the public meetings. Millersville is one of the few college towns that doesn't have much of a downtown. It doesn't have a place for students and staff and residents to meet, grab lunch, grab coffee, and have a lot of different local-oriented commercial uses in the And because of that, the students and the staff and the residents are doing much of their business outside of town, and the borough is losing tax revenue. So as part of this plan, there is a recommendation that the borough provide for a neighborhood commercial residential area on part of George Street. Now, these are properties, they're highlighted on here in an outline. It's George and Frederick is centered around. Many of these properties are already owned by the university or by student services. And the goal there is to provide an option where there could be small retail stores, personal services, restaurants, and things that would mainly serve local residents and students, that would promote people walking to everyday services as opposed to getting in a car and driving outside of the borough. So the goal is to create more of a town center. It's 2 blocks on George adjacent to Frederick and 1 block on Frederick. And many of the historic buildings in that area are already preserved under borough ordinances. So it's not a case where there would be whole-scale redevelopment strip malls. That would not be allowed. The borough already has a lot of protections for historic architecture through its zoning ordinance. The plan does talk about ways that we can calm traffic and make improvements to make things safer for pedestrians and bicyclists in town. The plan recommends completion of the trail between Eshelman Elementary and Veterans Park, which is land already in public ownership. I recommend some improvements to Veterans Park. It discusses the potential of having a nature park on some area, a wet area, towards the southern end of town, which shows up right here in the map. And it talks about seeking improvements on university-owned land along the Conestoga Creek, mainly to have canoe access and kayak access. There's a lot of recommendations to promote environmental sustainability, to promote renewable energy, to promote energy conservation, green roofs, electric vehicles, recycling. And that's a summary of what's in the plan. It is available online, everybody wants to read it, and the draft zoning amendment is also online and will be discussed next month. I'm here for any questions or comments.
All right, we'll start by taking any comments from the public. Again, you can come up and speak into the microphone. Do we have anyone who would like to make comments? All right.
Hi, Ken Acker here. We spoke last time, and I just want to know, was this all approved so far?
It's subject to approval as a plan tonight. The zoning amendment on 2 areas of land is subject for a hearing in a month, and then the borough can consider other implementation actions as they wish in the future.
So they're allowed to start like taking core samples and stuff on these properties?
I don't know anything about core samples. It's up to the developer to look at physical building suitability.
Because I live right behind this one, and I saw them doing it. I was a little concerned.
Any property owner can do whatever test they wish.
That's good enough for me. The surveys you sent out, who were they to? Do you have a list of that?
The citizen survey was online. We got several hundred responses. It was available to anyone who wished to respond.
Did they have to show proof of residence in the
No, we asked a question whether you were a resident, or whether you were a student, or whether you were a business owner,
Okay.
or whether you would lived in an adjacent municipality, because we wanted people who might live right outside of town, might have a Millersville zip code to also provide some comments.
So what was the percentage breakdown on your return on your survey for those 4 categories?
I'd have to look it up. It would just take a minute. I can look that up in a few minutes.
Okay, because.
I mean, most people were residents. We
But
didn't.
residents.
I don't think we got a lot of
University
students.
residents? I was told that the survey went out over university mail, is that true? I
They encouraged people to respond. According to the survey, large numbers of college students did not respond.
Okay, but that's, okay. Question I had, does this bypass the zoning board itself?
No, this is a set of recommendations. The zoning hearing board is one of the that's available to carry out the zoning ordinance, to administer it.
So you would recommend this to the zoning board, and the zoning board would still have to approve it?
The Borough Council decides on the ordinances and the plans, then the zoning hearing board hears applications to carry out the ordinance.
Okay,
So the zoning hearing board doesn't decide on what's in the ordinance, the zoning hearing board makes reviews and approves certain types of applications.
okay, so the zoning board has nothing to do with zoning these areas anymore?
They don't make a decision on where the zoning districts are located. They approve applications.
Okay. I hope everybody sees that that could be like, kind of a conflict there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Andrew?
How would, I see that there's some, highlights for neighborhood commercial option overlay development or, university. That development take place if it's already, if it's university property.
First off, the university is subject to zoning, and we have discussed this idea with university officials, and our initial feedback from them was that it was a positive alternative. They are under no obligation because it's an option to the property owner. But they can understand the need to have a gathering place for students and staff and residents, and have a visible, central commercial area that serves everybody within walking distance. And it actually is a recruitment tool to have that. People like to see that when they're looking at colleges. They also like to have the options for the properties. So they looked upon it favorably. There's no obligation. If you want to continue the current uses of the property, they can be continued. The university can do whatever's allowed under the zoning ordinance. Student services can do whatever's allowed under the zoning ordinance. This is giving an additional set of options. Because right now, you cannot have restaurants, cafes, nail salons in this area.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Comments from council? All right, well then, hearing none, I will close the public hearing. And we will start our meeting. And first order of business will then be to consider the resolution as posted for adopting the Millersville Borough Comprehensive Plan dated August 31st, 2022, and then revised February 2023.
I'll make that motion to approve the resolution
Second.
as advertised.
Thank you. Fighting over the second.
And I already
All
seconded.
right, we have Maggie and Chris with the second. Any discussion from council? All right,
The only thing I would like to comment, just that how hard people worked. I know several council members attended meetings, I know the planning commission worked hard, the public worked hard. There was just much more input, because I was here the first time around, that I just thought it was much more inclusive and it's appreciative that people put their time and effort into trying to make the borough as good as we can. It's, 2 square miles. There's just, opportunities are limited, and I personally just really appreciate it.
thank you.
I would just like to add, I also approve, I totally agree with that, but I also would like to say thank you to all the residents that came out to our public hearings to give their input and feedback on this plan.
Yeah, it was really great. Everyone worked really well together, shared their ideas in a positive way. It wasn't contentious, and it was really a good process, and thank you, Charlie, for leading us.
We enjoyed working with everybody.
So with that, we have a motion and a second, so all those in favor of adopting the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, resolution passes. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Good
Thank you,
night. We'll see
Charlie.
next month.
We'll move on to approval of meeting minutes. We have February 28th, 2023 meeting minutes.
I make a motion to approve those meeting minutes.
Thank you, Mary Ann.
I'll second.
All right, Phyllis, thank you. Any comments? All right,
One thing I will comment was, thank you for including the financial reports in the minutes. I just think that's nice for residents now. They'll be able to get to the end of the minutes, and the financials for the prior month are included in the PDF. And that's just a nice thing for them to see.
great. All right. All those in favor of approving the February 28th, 2023 council meeting minutes signify by saying aye. Aye. All right. We do have the opportunity for citizens' requests and concerns, so anything not related to the comprehensive plan. Yes,
Just real quick, I was wondering why it wasn't posted on Facebook this time,
what?
the meeting tonight. It was one of the first times in a while it hasn't been posted, I just wanted to make it aware. On the borough.
It's always on the borough website.
Yeah, we'll look into it and see, thank
It
you.
was on the website, but
Yeah, no, it
perhaps,
was on the website, but normally the post is.
It's also on Facebook?
yeah.
All right, that is the intent, so we'll check that out. Anyone else? All right, thank you. New business? Do we have any new business from council? All right. Civil Service Commission report. I don't think anyone from Civil Services. Oh, yes, yeah, great.
Mary Lyons and Deb Sweda, were sworn in as alternates. Thank you for giving us extra alternates. It's kind of busy for us. We approved meeting minutes from the last 4 meetings. And we had 2 applicants that passed the physical and written. And we made a motion to do the oral interview conducted by a local board and not farm it out and pay money for it since there's only 2 applicants. Chief Markovich is working with us, so I'm getting good representation of not only the borough, but the university and stuff as well. And that's it.
Thank you. Reports of council committees. Finance Advisory Committee?
And this is out of committee.
Okay.
We're recommending approval of the March 2023 financials, which did include the check register.
Great. It's out of committee, so we don't need a second. Is there any question or discussion? All right. All those in favor of approving the March 2023 financials signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Our Chair of the Public Welfare, Public Works Advisory Committee is not here. Do you have an update on Lafayette Place?
I don't have an update on Lafayette Place, other than to say that they did the paving this past weekend, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And Lafayette Place is now completely paved. So we got a nice thank you letter from, I guess we shared it with one of
Mhm.
the homeowners there. They were very appreciative that we were finally able to get it done.
Excellent. We did have the code and zoning activity report. We also have our zoning officer here. So anything to add?
Not at this time, no. I mean, they have your report. Okay. So
Yeah.
maybe if you had any questions, you could direct them to.
Does anyone have any questions for Rob? It seems like business as usual, inspecting.
It's pretty thorough. I think.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's a nice report. I mean, you can pretty much figure out.
Right.
What's
It's got
going
lots
on.
of good detail.
Our philosophy is we'd rather have give you too much
Yeah,
information
no,
than
it's
not
good.
enough. So, thanks, Rob.
Personnel advisory?
The Personnel Advisory Committee did not meet this month, but I have 2 motions not out of committee. The first is to accept the resignation of Tina Schaefer, who is our part-time clerk.
Second.
Thank you.
Second by Chris. All right. Any questions? All right. All those in favor of accepting the resignation of Tina Schaefer signify by saying aye. Aye.
The second motion, also not out of committee, is a motion to advertise for a new part-time clerk.
I'll second it,
Thank you, Chris.
since we didn't do it last, since we didn't have the meeting, so I figured.
All those in favor of advertising for the part-time clerk position signify by saying aye. Aye. All right.
Where are we gonna advertise?
Well, that's kind of up to you.
Just wanted to see if you had any druthers.
I would say definitely on our website and on Facebook. There'd be obvious places.
And if you wanna do it on the Sunday paper, you know,
Sunday
that's,
paper.
that's usually, I think, your best.
Okay.
Yeah, Indeed, we do have an Indeed account.
LinkedIn, potentially, too. It's free.
Is it free?
I don't know
Okay.
if someone has one.
Yeah, we have like the $50 one a year kind of thing.
I would
for
do
Indeed.
whatever is free first and then pay for it, then you might.
All right. The mayor's report.
Thank you very much. First of all, I just want to say thank you to all the members of the Civil Service Commission. They've been doing a fantastic job helping us get through the hurdles we are right now with getting the manpower back to where it should be. So, Ken, you're the only one here, but thank you. Tomorrow evening, I'll be attending the Lancaster County Borough Association meeting. That is up in Ephrata. And then Thursday morning, bright and early, I'll be representing the borough at the Lancaster County Solid Waste Management Authority Public Officials Meeting down at Will Valley. So, other than that, I'll turn it over to the chief, and he can discuss the reports for this past month.
Okay, I'll give you the breakdown for police department activities for March. We answered 323 calls for service, and the officers had an additional 109 follow-ups along with those calls. We had 6 ordinance complaints, 2 involving animals, 4 involving open alcohol violations, which resulted in 4 ordinance citations. We issued 6 disruptive conduct reports. We had 29 criminal arrests, 12 were adult, 17 were juvenile. 11 Part 1 offenses, cleared 5 for 45% clearance. 41 Part 2 offenses with 36 cleared for an 87.8% clearance. A total of 12 traffic violations, 12 vehicle accidents, 5 were reportable, 7 were non-reportable. 103 parking tickets were issued, patrolled just over 2,300 miles. And additional cases added to the detective and myself, which I'm still helping him with investigations at this time. We added several thefts, several theft cases, simple assault, suicide attempt, mental health commitment, and another sex offense involving a minor. And besides that, I would just add a little more to what Ken said about the process. I did lock in our 3 for our interview panel just a little while ago. I got some emails, and it looks like next week, next Thursday, we should have the oral interviews being done to continue the process forward. So we're moving it along as quick as we can because we did not get the turnout for the vacancies that we have, but we just keep moving along.
What's the time frame after that interview process?
After that, we would move into the background, which is the most important part of the process and the most extensive, is with the detective doing the background investigation. And then those who clear that are very close. Then they can get a conditional offer upon passing the last few steps, physical exam, polygraph, and those things. So we're getting there.
Great.
Yeah.
And the only thing I would add is, I mean, you have the numbers in front of you from this report, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is 6 patrolmen, 2 sergeants and 4 patrolmen that have accomplished this, in addition to the investigative work done by our chief and our detective, so.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at those numbers, for 4 months in, if they extrapolate out that way, we're gonna be over what we had last year with less manpower. So we're holding the line, but we'll get something out of this round and then just keep at it.
Great.
And the word is go out throughout the county that we're still looking for part-timers. But the problem we're running into with that is the fact that all these other departments are so short-staffed. Officers don't have time to look for something part-time because they're chewing up overtime with the departments they were full-time in, so. That's everything. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Millersville University, Andrew.
Hello. So we had our Made in Millersville conference on this past April 11th. If you don't know, Made in Millersville is where all the students of Millersville University have to present all the research they've been conducting, that being like undergrads, graduates, doctoral students. And it was actually such, we had so many research proposals and presentations that we were doing that we usually have it at the library. We had to move it to the Student Memorial Center, which is a much larger conference space. So that was a huge, terrific success. Clinic that was attended very, very well. On April 29th, we're going to have our Club 42 Jazz concert at the Ware Center, which is very exciting. And then on the 27th, we're going to be having our Finish Strong event / Ubuntu Day celebration, which is where we're going to be celebrating the end of the semester. There's going to be lots and lots and lots of activities being put out onto the quad and throughout the campus for students to use, not just for fun and recreation, but also there's going to be a bunch of stuff about job opportunities, many of which are in Millersville Borough community, and internships, as well as academic advice for our finals that are coming up. And then speaking of graduation, we're going to have on May 5th, Friday at 6 p.m., our master's and doctoral. On May 6th, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on that Saturday, all our undergrads are going to be graduating and having their commencement ceremonies. That's all I have to report.
Thank you very much. I have a Penn Manor report, but I will say the dedication ceremony was last weekend. Not this past weekend, but the weekend before, and I did attend, and I hope some other residents were able to get out and tour the new high school. It was a long time coming. As far as the president's report, Millersville did host the LIMC meeting on April 12th. Greg and the mayor and myself were there, and to kind of build on what the mayor pointed out, a lot of the other municipalities are really struggling with employee retention and police officers. So we are actually doing a little better than most for the time being. So that's it for the president's report. Borough manager.
Yes, I was asked to give a update on the village at Funk's Farm development into on April the 24th, 2012. Well, we're waiting on 2 deliverables from HHF Real Estate Development. We're waiting on a design for the pump station and a video of the sewer main. And I've asked Les to come to maybe expound on that and flesh that out a little bit more for council. But it's been hanging around at least since February 1st of this year, but we've been waiting on these 2
Correct.
things from.
We had a meeting in January. They proposed the 2012 agreement had them replacing manholes between Walnut Hill Road and Elizabeth Street and replacing the main. They came back with wanting to
towards the end of last year, and it was not clean when it was televised. We had another meeting then with, they had Able Recon in, and the owner and their engineers. And they had talked about having Able clean it, televise it. They gave us somewhat of a plan how they go about this. The other, and we're okay with that. We just like to see the line when it's clean, and they probably still have to replace the manhole at Elizabeth with a 5-footer so you can get that radius on down Elizabeth Street better than a 4-foot manhole from the force main. So, plus the pump station design was kind of started in 2016 and then halted due to whatever reason I can't say, like money, whatever. So here we are. There's a different engineer that's working on it. It's the same engineer who worked on it the first time. They were able to start on it, I think, in like the middle of March. So we're still waiting on that design. So, in speaking with Giselle about this amendment, I mentioned those two things, and we'd really like to have those designs and looked at and approved. So when we do change this agreement, you have those drawings to refer to, because if you don't know what you might end up with. So that's what we're waiting on. The onus is on them, not on us.
Okay.
I've been playing this game since 2006, is when they first came and asked for capacity. 2007, I wrote a capacity letter. From 2007 until 2012, that's how long it took to get everybody on board with an agreement. LASA, Manor Township, the borough, all the lawyers, to get it that we're billing those people individually, the township's not involved, LASA's not involved. So it took 5 years just to get that original agreement. The 16 agreement was there's 3 lots there. The first lot is basically a residential area. The second lot is the commercial stuff they might have in the future. The third lot is our pump station lot. They had a stormwater outfall on our pump station lot, which means we would have been responsible for the stormwater on that lot, which I'm like, no, we're not doing that. So the 16 agreement basically addressed that the homeowners association would take care of that stormwater if they did not move it off the lot, and also to provide a well for water, for washdown water, which at this point, I don't really give a hoot about that. I think the water's gonna get down there. Now, this is what's happening. Ever since the moratorium on the water usage has been lifted by Lancaster City, everybody's gone crazy trying to get stuff built. You got, this gentleman talked about down here on 240 East Cottage. I had a guy from Garmin ask me for a sewer capacity when the damn zoning ordinance isn't even changed yet. They want to bust gas on that property, and the zoning ordinance isn't even changed yet. Plus the design they have, it's going right over our lines and stuff. So things are getting a little crazy around here since the water stuff's lifted. But anyhow, the Funks Farm folk know they need to do that stuff before we can amend the agreement. That's where we're at, waiting on their things.
So do we need to do anything with the 2016 agreement? Because what you're looking at is 2012 agreement.
Well,
Or do we have to do 12 before we worry about 16?
what's gonna happen here, whatever this new agreement is gonna supersede
Both of them? Okay. That makes sense.
Like I said, the only thing the 16 one did was like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah.
The first pump station design showed a swale going right along the pump station and outfall. Like, nah, we don't want that.
Plus, I think you said something before, like the tapping fees and things that were in that agreement are all old now.
Correct.
They all need to be
would pay
updated.
current tapping fees.
Yeah,
There was no agreement to keep those tapping, there it is what it is at the time.
right.
It's not our fault they didn't build in 2000. But,
Yeah.
you gotta pay to play just like everybody else.
Like everybody else.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't believe we have any unfinished business, and we do not need an executive session. So if anyone else doesn't have anything to share for the good of the order, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Well, We'll give the motion to Mary Ann and the second to Phyllis. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned, 7:40. Thank you.